Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2250B, and today's date is August 14th, 2020, and the title of the episode is 11.3 Verifies the First Marker, Lisa Page, Kevin Kleinsmith, Viva la Resistance. Let's talk about protecting yourself. News just released states several VPNs that didn't have a no-log policy revealed the browsing activity and personal information of over 20 million users. Those that care about privacy need a VPN with a strict no-log policy to prevent this. That's why I chose Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield has a strict no-log policy. Their network is fast, reliable, secure, and always available. Due to the recent pandemic, Virtual Shield is offering its services for 50% off to help customers in need to protect themselves, as well as a free 30-day trial. Go to virtualshield.com/X22 or click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the mainstream media, the corrupt politicians, they are panicking like we've never seen before because it has begun. We have the first verified marker, and now it's all downhill from here. Yes, the mainstream media, they're going off the rails. They're trying to spin all the stories. And like I've said before, as more and more information comes out, as the people get to see what really happened, the mainstream media will continue to spin and spin and spin until they can't spin anymore. And then people will start to realize and understand what really has been happening. Remember, who has the documentation? Who has the information? The Patriots do. The Patriots are now serving it out, and they're implementing pain on those players. That's exactly what they're doing right now. And each time they drip the information out, or there's someone getting indicted, someone pleading guilty, someone cooperating, the deep state feels pain every single time. This is about showing the people of this country and around the world who these individuals really are. This is just the beginning of it all. And we're already starting to see it, and we're already starting to see the spin cycle happen on the mainstream media. But what's very interesting, it seems that Trump has confirmed to the Patriots that, yes, this is the first verified marker. We'll be getting into that a little bit later in this report. But first, let's start off with Michael Cohen. Remember, this was Trump's attorney. He went to prison for lying, and now he's releasing this Trump tell-all book. Well, first of all, if he was going to tell all, he would have told Mueller everything, and he wouldn't have gone to jail. He would have gotten Trump a long time ago. You know what this book is? Absolutely nothing. There's going to be absolutely nothing in here. Remember, Cohen is a liar. And if he really had the tell-all stuff, he would have used it. It would have been out there already. And this is going to be another dud just like all the others. It's going to go absolutely nowhere. Now, what's very interesting is that the Democratic Party, they're setting rules for Biden, for Kamala Harris, and they are telling the mainstream media, be careful what you do with these individuals. Be careful how you're criticizing these individuals, or else. Sean Spicer tweeted out this: unreal, left-wing operatives warn, also known threaten, the media. We will be watching you regarding their coverage of Kamala Harris. So the D's, they're setting rules, and they're threatening the mainstream media. But we know that the mainstream media, they're in line with this. So who are they really threatening? I believe it's the alternative media, which means social media is going to get involved. It's what we call censorship. And I do believe this was a message that was sent out letting everyone know, if you see any of this stuff on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, censor, censor, censor. And I do believe that's what they're going to be doing here. But what's very interesting is that Hillary Clinton, she is not ruling out serving in a Biden administration. She said, I am ready to help in any way I can. Now that is very interesting. I do believe that she might be stepping in. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But the big news today is that ex-FBI lawyer Kevin Clinesmith, he pled guilty in the Durham probe. Remember, he altered the email? It was about Carter Page. He deleted some information so people would think that he was a Russian agent when he had nothing to do with Russia. He did it on purpose. And now it seems that he's going to plead guilty to making false statements in documents used to obtain surveillance warrants against Carter Page. Now, this is the first legal action taken in the investigation led by John Durham. If you notice, it wasn't a report. And yesterday, Bill Barr was explaining that, yes, something's about to happen. It's not going to be huge, but it has begun. And it wasn't a glossy report. It was someone who had to plead guilty to a charge of changing an email. And Technofog tweeted this out. Important excerpt from the Kevin Clinesmith criminal information. On 8/17/2016, the CIA informed the Crossfire Hurricane team that Carter Page had been a CIA source. They hid this fact from the FISA court. I bet the Department of Justice will invalidate the first two FISAs. Now remember, the FBI, I should say, they looked at the other FISAs and they said, oh no, all the others are fine. We know they're not fine. So Clinesmith, he had provided the unchanged CIA email to Crossfire Hurricane agents and the Justice Department lawyer drafting the original wiretap application. The question is, who else knew about this lie? Someone must have known. It wasn't him alone. Remember, he's not just a low-level agent. He's the attorney. So did Comey know? Did Obama know? Who gave him the instructions? So that's very interesting right there. Trump, when he was giving his presser, he said something very interesting. Take a listen to what he said about Clinesmith.
So we have some very interesting news. Kevin Clinesmith, a corrupt FBI attorney who falsified FISA warrants in James Comey's very corrupt FBI, is expected to plead guilty. You probably heard that. It just came out. So that's just the beginning, I would imagine, because what happened should never happen again. So he is...
So if you were listening, Trump said that this is just the beginning, and it is the beginning. Undercover Huber tweeted this out. A hint in Clinesmith plea. Durham could have indicted on 18 U.S.C. 1519, destruction of federal investigation records, which tracks a 20-year max sentence. Instead, the plea is to a Section 1001 false statements charge, only 5 years. Suggests Crossfire Maine FBI lawyer is cooperating. Remember, they're getting to the top, the people at the top. And that's what they're looking for. So Clinesmith, in order to save himself, it seems like he started to sing. And I guess birds sing in the spring when this was all starting. And they're continually singing throughout the summer. So it looks like he's doing a lot of chirping right now. Now let's think about this for a second. The number of Americans that were charged with crimes related to the 2016 election interference were how many people? 0. How many people were charged with Russian collusion? 0. How many people were charged in the Mueller investigation related to the Russia probe? So far, 1. So let's see. Everything that the mainstream media talked about, everything that the corrupt politicians talked about, there were no arrests for Russian collusion and there was no arrests for election interference. But already we have one individual who's pleading guilty to falsifying records in the Mueller investigation that was looking into Russian collusion. And this is just the first one. And what's very interesting is that this individual, Kevin Kleinsmith, he texted Viva la Resistance. Now, he texted this to an FBI colleague after Trump won. Now, we knew about this before. Remember post 1559, June 19, 2018? D-Class, Lisa Page, Viva la Resistance. And under it says JC for James Comey. So this is coming out now. We already knew about this, but Enoch starts to put this all together. Now, Kevin Kleinsmith, KC, K is 11, C is 3. In Q's post number 26, it says the following. Think about it logically. The only way is the military fully controlled, save and spread once 11.3 verifies as first marker. 11.3, everyone thought it was a date, but actually it's Kevin, and K is 11, Kleinsmith, C is 3, so 11.3. This verifies the first marker. And great work, Enoch, but Enoch didn't stop there. He continued. He said, do you believe in coincidences? November 1st, 2017, Q provided 11.3 marker, and once verified, the only way is military. August 14, 2020, KC guilty equals 11.3. Then Trump heads to New York, lands in Morristown, New Jersey, military capital of American Revolution. Then Trump tweets about November 3rd. Boom. This is not a coincidence. And then Paul Sperry tweeted this out. Breaking. New FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith, criminal pleadings reveals Crossfire Hurricane team received memo from CIA exculpating Trump advisor Carter Page on August 17, 2016, one day after FBI formally opened individual case against Page and 2 months before it obtained first spy warrant on him. So it seems that someone needs to explain why all this happened. And this is just the beginning. Think about what has happened right now. They let this information out. We're starting to see CNN and all MSNBC and the rest, they're starting to spin all this. And remember, they're going to try to spin all this until the very, very end, because they have their instructions. And what this is actually going to do is going to back them into a corner, because there's going to come a point where you can't spin this anymore. Remember, the Patriots have the documentation. They have it all the way up through the chain of command, all the way to the top, and they're going to get all of them. Now, what's very interesting is that there was a huge victory in California. In a stunning decision, the Ninth Circuit Court has ruled in Duncan v. Becerra in favor of gun rights by affirming that California's ban on possession of high-capacity magazines holding 10 rounds or more violates the Second Amendment. Of course it does. Let's talk about being prepared. A hiker from California was recently rescued after being stranded in Joshua Tree National Park for 40 hours with a broken leg. Cases like that is exactly why I carry the backup solar bank. The backup solar bank provides me with unlimited energy because it's powered entirely by the solar panels on the device. It's perfect for emergencies and includes an incredible powerful battery, which is 20,000 mAh, and it has convenient wireless charging for my cell phone. Get 20% using the promo code in the description and free shipping on your own backup power by going to backupsolarbank.com or by clicking the link below. You can't create laws that infringe on our rights. And if we had the rule of law, all of these laws would not be in place. And it just shows right here that the rights are standing tall, and these laws cannot knock it down. This is what they were trying to do. This is what they still want to do. If you listen to Biden, if you listen to Kamala Harris, if you listen to any of them, the first thing they ever say is, we're going to take your guns away from you. Why do you think they want the weapons? Do you really think they're going to stop at the assault rifles, as they call them? No. It's the same thing with the central bank when it first came into existence. We're only going to tax the rich. Everyone else doesn't have to worry. We're only going to go after the assault rifles. Everyone else, you don't have to worry. That's how they start it. And they do it very, very slowly. But now they're speeding up their agenda. Now they're just coming out saying, listen, we're going to go door to door. We're going to take your weapons. They have no time left because Trump is undoing everything they've been trying to do. Now, what's very interesting with the pandemic, we know that they've been trying to push mail-in voting. We know they don't want people going to the polls. We know they have to manipulate, delay, and do whatever they possibly can to try to get Trump out of office. And at each phase, Trump is countering everything they're trying to do. And actually, Fauci came out and he said there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to vote in person. He just countered everything they're trying to do once again. Now, that's very interesting. So already he's out there saying the opposite of what the deep state wants. Now, am I saying Fauci's a good guy? Am I saying that he's on the White House team? No. He might switch later on, but at this point, this is what he's saying, and it just countered everything they tried to do. Think about it. In the beginning of the pandemic, what did Fauci do? He says that masks don't work. Why? Because all the tests show that they don't stop viruses. Plus, people touch their faces, they touch their nose, they breathe the virus back in, and they don't work. Actually, there's many tests that have been retested, and they show that, yes, masks do not work. Actually, it is time to unmask. And there are a lot of people that are rejecting masks right now. A lot of people saying, you know something? It's time to get rid of the masks. I'm not wearing it inside of the stores. I'm not wearing them inside of restaurants. I mean, actually, when you go to a restaurant, it's kind of ridiculous. You walk in with a mask, and then you sit down and you take it off. Think about that for a second. Does that make any sense? It's like walking into an area where there's radiation, wearing your radiation suit, sitting down to dinner, and taking your radiation suit off. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because if this virus is airborne and this virus is floating around, why would you take your mask off inside a restaurant? Does that make any sense? It doesn't. But remember, the virus is very smart. The virus knows who to go after and who not to go after, which we'll be talking about in just a minute. But first, what's very interesting is that Trump had this peace deal that he brokered between Israel and United Arab Emirates. And Joe Biden, he came out and said that it was himself and Obama that actually brokered the peace deal. This is his statement. The coming together of Israel and the Arab states builds on the efforts of multiple administrations to foster a broader Arab-Israel opening, including the efforts of the Obama-Biden administration to build on the Arab Peace Initiative. So why didn't they go ahead and, they had 8 years in the White House. Why didn't they go ahead and broker the peace deal? They didn't. Why didn't they do a lot of things? Because they were too busy with their 16-year plan, handing it off to Hillary Clinton. Now they have to go back and say, well, by the way, Trump, that's my economy. Well, it's no longer Obama's economy because now the economy crashed and Trump just built it right back up. The same thing with this. It's been his whole entire presidency in his first term, and now he's come out with the peace deal. Obama and Biden, Clinton, Bush, and all the others have been there for years and years and years. They've done nothing. Just like they told us in Syria that it would be completely impossible to stop the Islamic State. They're too strong, they're too powerful, they're too wealthy. This war could go on for 50 years. What happened? Oh, wait, the Islamic State was destroyed. Completely wrong. And it seems that the U.S., they have just seized Iranian fuel tankers. They were headed towards Venezuela, and they just disrupted a multi-billion-dollar fuel shipment by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and it was designated foreign terrorist organization that was bound for Venezuela, and they confiscated these ships, and now they're towing them into port here in the United States. And once again, we know that Iran, they work with the deep state. We understand that they're holding back to see who wins the election. The same with China, same with many other countries. And I do believe they'll be doing business with the United States, making deals with Trump. But he will have one up on them because now he has the upper hand and they will not. So things are going to really turn around now. What's very interesting is that we were just talking about the pandemic, and we know that Trump brought in the hospital ships to the port of LA, brought in a hospital ship to New York in Central Park. They set up, hospitals with tons of beds, and really no one really used it. And out in Chicago, we also see the McCormick Place hospitals. It cost something like $66 million. They created an emergency coronavirus hospital with 2,750 beds. Do you know how many patients were there? 38. Is anyone starting to see a pattern now with the ship called the Comfort, the ship called Mercy, the Central Park Hospital? It seems that these were all set up because they were telling us how deadly this was, how many people were sick, and there's no one there. Why? Weren't they telling us that the hospitals were packed? There's no more beds? Lines out the doors? Actually, when we saw citizen journalists go to all these hospitals, what did we see? We didn't see any of that. And now we come to find out that these makeshift hospitals that cost millions of dollars, nobody was there. I think everyone's starting to see a pattern right now. But remember, the deep state, they're continuing with their agenda. And it seems that New York City, they're going to be canceling the tribute of light over Manhattan on 9/11. Why? Because of coronavirus fears. But remember, 27 police officers can guard de Blasio's Black Lives Matter street art each day. He can paint with all the rioters and paint Black Lives Matters with everyone standing around. But we can't have the 9/11 memorial, the tribute of light. Does that make any sense? And according to Pix 11, it takes about 40 people to produce the annual tribute of light each year. 40 people. But we can't have this. I thought masks protect everyone, right? What's the problem? So the virus is so smart, they know not to go after the police officers that are guarding BLM, where de Blasio didn't go through the proper process to get that. And we have other organizations suing de Blasio. The virus is smart enough not to infect those people, not to infect the rioters, but the virus would be smart enough to know that, oh wait, this is the tribute of light over for 9/11. Well, we're going to infect you. Think about what's going on here. Think about what they're doing. Now, very interestingly, Trump's brother, Robert, he was hospitalized in New York. Now, the details are very sketchy right now, but this is very interesting at this point in time with everything else going on. So we'll have to see what is really going on in this circumstance. Now, what's very interesting is that during the presser today, a reporter asked the question about this new candidate who follows QAnon and asked a question to Trump, are you backing this candidate? Do you believe in the QAnon conspiracy? Just take a listen to what she asked here.
Taylor Greene in a tweet. You called her a future Republican star. Greene has been a proponent of the QAnon conspiracy theory. She said it's something that would be worth listening to. Do you agree with her on that?
Well, she did very well in the election. She won by a lot. She was very popular. She comes from a great state, and she had a tremendous victory. So absolutely, I did congratulate her. Please, go ahead.
Now, Trump did say that he praised the candidate. He's all for her, and really didn't say much about QAnon. Didn't say, oh, QAnon is a crazy cult. Didn't say QAnon is real. Why? Well, first of all, the reporter didn't ask the right question, so he wasn't going to answer. But I think there's something else happening here. Remember all the hit pieces on QAnon that the mainstream media has been putting out? How QAnon is violent. They're censoring certain individuals on Twitter, on Facebook. And I do believe they wanted Trump at this point, because it's very interesting that they asked him right now. I think they wanted him to confirm this so they can blame what's going to happen on him and the followers. Because why would the press bring it up right now? Did they want Trump to acknowledge it right now? What are they planning? Is there a false flag on the way? Will it involve a Q supporter? I do believe that, yes, this is going to happen. Now, what's very interesting is that this Twitter account, David Rossi, and it seems like it's a burner Twitter account. I don't even know if it's real. It says, let's get this straight right away. Camel Laugh and China Joe will lie, and the media will not challenge them on all the false statements they make. It is up to American warriors to get the truth out to the American people. Now, Julian's Rum saw this tweet because Trump retweeted it, which is very interesting. And Julian is saying that he's talking to us. American warriors equals digital warriors. And who just changed their Twitter header? Flynn to digital warriors. And then we go back to post 165, and at the bottom it says, Patriots, get the word out. Which I find very interesting, and it looks like this is a proof. So it seems that Trump is telling us to get the word out about Joe and Kamala Harris. It seems that Trump is confirming that, yes, this is the first marker on 11.3. And it seems that the deep state, the mainstream media, the corrupt politicians were trying to set Trump up for the next FF. And if they were going to do anything, it might be on Monday, because I think that's the 17th. And they might try something, or they might try at a different time. But it seems like they're going to need something, because Trump now is letting the information come out from the John Durham investigation. Now, is he personally letting this happen? No. This has been planned from the very beginning. This was the first drop to verify everything and to make the mainstream media, to make the deep state squirm, feel the pain, because there's a lot more coming. And I'm sure Kevin Kleinsmith is singing like there's no tomorrow. And I do believe we are now headed towards a lot more coming. And this is when we're going to see Julian Assange, his information come into play. We're going to see the crimes against humanity come into play with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein. Most likely we're going to start to see some pictures. Remember, this is a perfect storm where all these pieces are coming together all at once. And I believe it has already begun. And this is just the first phase, because once we start moving up to the top level, past these low individuals who are the foot soldiers of the deep state, we're going to see some other information come into play, like crimes against humanity. Because what Trump, what Barr, what all these individuals have to do, they have to show how evil these individuals are. And just by showing, something on a document, or saying that they did something treasonous, that they lied, that is not going to be enough. You're going to have to show the other part of it, so people understand that this is who this person is. And yes, they would commit treason. Yes, they would try to get Trump. Yes, they would murder someone. And I believe this is how they're going to produce this, and it has already begun. And we can see that throughout this whole thing, the pandemic, the riots, everything that we've been watching has been part of the plan. We watched the Great Awakening. We watched a lot of people wake up. People are reaching the precipice. They're demanding change. The silent majority is growing. All of this is for one reason and one reason only: to get all these people. And it had to be done this way. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.